There are 4,218 PlayStation 2 games, and I've got to beat every single one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing on the original hardware, but at the end of each video, you have a chance to guess what the next game is going to be. Do you think I can do this before I die of old age? I hope so. It's time to hunt man. Welcome to Manhunt, made by Rockstar in 2003 for the PS2, the Xbox, and Windows PCs. A game made to be extremely gory for funsies, I suppose. But the why doesn't matter because it was still banned in several different countries because, well, you pretty much just kill people relentlessly. The issue facing this game today, though, is that there are many games just as gory, if not gorier than this one, so it's nothing special anymore. So does this game have the gameplay to hold up in 2023? Because that's when I released the video. Who knows? Well, we're about to find out. The first thing we do with any game when we're starting is check out the options, and there aren't too many in this game, which makes sense, but there are some video options like making it widescreen, turning off some of the noise that you see on the screen, because this game is supposed to be shot sometimes from a camera, and just the fact that it's gritty, you can move the screen around, not really anything too interesting. The game begins with this reporter saying that something bad has been happening and it goes all the way to the top and time is running out. She has the evidence to put this guy named Starkweather away without a shadow of a doubt, but what exactly is it? Someone was supposed to be executed 5 hours ago, your main character. So now we're trying to figure out what happened because, well, he wasn't executed. Your character wakes up and is being talked to by this disembodied voice telling you to put an earpiece in your ear so that he can help you escape because, well, you're still alive from being executed. He leads you onto the streets where he tells you that the streets are being policed by gangs who are scum just like you. I guess I'm scum. Damn. Well, he tells you that you need to hunt down and kill people, which is so wholesome. But then he says at the end of his little explanation, camera, action. That's right. The premise for this game is that there is a director directing you to kill people in real life and making a movie out of it, like a snuff film. His idea is to pick someone who is on death row who would have nothing to lose but everything to gain, and then have them go through these trials and tribulations to maybe have a chance at getting out scot-free. Although I really don't know how it was supposed to happen because it sounds like people are not happy with the snuff film this guy is making. This is the tutorial, of course, and we get to learn about things like making noise as you move around. If you run, you make noise, and you see this big red pulse on the minimap down at the bottom left. Even punching and attacking can sometimes have a red pulse appear, which means that enemies can hear you. Wherever that pulse ends, that's the range of how far the noise is actually going. The character control's a little crappy, honestly more tanky. Yes, you do have a strafe left and right, but the camera is almost usually just kind of right behind your character or trying to be, so it doesn't feel the greatest. I honestly don't like the movement and the camera in this game. After this, we're treated to our first execution, which can happen when you sneak up behind someone and hold the square or X button. Some triangles will appear, and the longer you hold them, the more gruesome your execution is. This guy just hit the button because I'm not sure yet that that's what you can do. You can also pick up dead bodies after you've killed someone and move them around, although I never found it to be useful in my playthrough, since I'm not trying to get the maximum amount of points, I'm just winning. Next, we learn the importance of shadows and how overpowered they are, because honestly, using shadows is very important. A lot of times you have to sneak stealth kill people. Sitting in shadows means that they literally cannot see you no matter where you are or what's going on. They will walk right in front of you and just not see you. So you can sneak out slowly, walk up behind someone from the shadows, and get them. Next, we learn about the wonderful melee fighting in this game, and by that I mean the terrible melee fighting. It's clunky, it's slow, it doesn't feel great, and it feels like the AI has a leg up over you, probably because you're supposed to be stealth killing people. This cute little blow gluing VHS tape means that it's a save point. You can save at different points in the level. This is just a generic save, not the actual game save, so you'll want to still make sure that you push start and hit save or in between chapters. The game now tells us that fighting multiple people at one time with your fists or with weapons is not a good idea, and that is absolutely 100% correct. If you get overpowered by people, all you need to do is turn around and run away as fast as you possibly can. As you can see here, even though one of them is on the ground, I get overwhelmed very quickly, and then they kick me while I'm down, which is so nice of them. Most often, to progress through a level, you'll just need to kill people, and this guy, he wants me to execute. I execute him with the yellow arrows, which is the second level of execution. There are 3, gray arrows, yellow arrows, and red arrows. I did the yellow just because that's what I did, but if you let it go to red, it's the most gruesome. So as long as you do what the guy tells you to do, you're gonna get through the level pretty quick. Once I get to the end of the tutorial, I get all these cool stats to see what I did and how well I performed, as well as saving, and then there are about 22 total levels or areas that you'll go through, which makes it a longer game than I expected. In the beginning of the next level, I learned I can do a Resident Evil 180 turn by pressing L2 and R2, which are the strafe buttons. Pretty cool. There are 3 different colored weapons that you can pick up. Green disappears after 1 use, blue is a smaller weapon that does not disappear after use, and red is a heavy weapon, which obviously does more damage. The blue weapons also serve an extra function sometimes. Using the knife or the crowbar to pick locks or cut ropes can help you get through different areas, and you can use them to perform executions. As you see, I do a red execution for the first time here. As I continue on, I break through some glass, which leaves me a shard of glass to use that I need to use because the guy tells me to. I get a save point. I learn a little more about making noise. Here's a good example of how the shadows hide you right in front of someone. Look, he can't even friggin' see me. What a dumbass. As I peek around the corner, I notice that there's some gravel on the ground in a pile. If I walk on the gravel, it makes noise no matter how slowly I walk. So I gotta walk around it so that I can get to him effectively without him noticing me. Next, I switch my small blue bat for a small blue crowbar, which can break padlocks, and I'll need this quite often at the beginning of the game. Not so much later on, but for right now, it's really important. To use the blue item, you hold triangle where you're supposed to be standing, in front of this padlock, for instance. Usually triangle hides you up against a wall, but in this instance, for some reason, it uses the blue item. Next, we get stuck in this room where we have to kill this guy to get out, and it teaches us how to grapple. I am not a fan of grappling because most of the time it's just a death sentence. You just grapple someone else comes up and beats your ass. Even if it's just him alone, I don't like grappling, so I don't do it very often. And once you get this guy, it's the end of the level and we move on to the next stage. At the beginning of the next stage, I learned that if you're peeking around a wall, you can swing your melee weapon and hit someone as they come around, which isn't very useful. Again, you still want to go for stealth kills, but it is something you can do. After unlocking another set of padlocks, I find that I need to just find this cellar door to get to the next area. I get my first yellow item, which is used to distract people. When you throw it, it makes a noise and they'll run towards it. This area really teaches me that being overpowered sucks. You do not need to fight more than one person at a time with melee. With guns later on maybe, but right now you need to run away as far as you can, get into shadows, and then stand still. When you do this, they really don't have a chance to see you. As you see here, this area is actually the beginning of the level. I have taken someone all the way from the very end to the very beginning. It's really difficult sometimes, but they will hunt you down relentlessly. I mean, this game's called Manhunt. Many times, more often than not, you'll find that they do not stop hunting you very easily. Here, I've led them back into the shadows where they don't see me, but they don't stop. They continue back to where I am and just see me, well, because I don't have anywhere else to go. I'm stuck at the beginning of the level, so I still have to fight them. It doesn't go the greatest, but eventually I start to realize you need to run and full stop in the shadows to get out of the way. Eventually, I make it out of the area, and as promised, I'm supposed to leave unharmed. That was a friggin' lie, huh? So these guys come in here, beat my ass, take all my stuff, and leave me in another area where I then have to go through more because it was a lie and he's trying to make a snuff film. So, of course they're gonna lie to me. There's not much story going on, but here's a group of guys you're gonna be killing in the next area. Just look at how terrible they are. Better dust myself off after getting my butt beat. I make some mistakes in the first area and I have to fight this guy with my fists, and then he scampers away trying to call for his friends. That's right, even though they're scum, they still try and work together. This guy finds his buddy who I left for him to find there, and he's not happy, but he doesn't really try very hard to look for me, so I take care of him next too. I'm supposed to get rid of this guy and the next guy to open the gate, but I accidentally do it when that guy is watching, so after I get this dude, he just runs up and starts beating me up, and I have to try and do it again. Here's one of the few instances where I have to use the knife to cut some rope, which I could probably use anything to cut that rope, and I do it and I get a save point. I don't think we ever cut rope again. I come upon this guy using the bathroom in this broken down RV, and I have to lure him out by breaking the window, hiding in these shadows, and then getting him. And then I can finally get my first kind of gun. It's a simple nail gun, it's not the greatest, but you press and hold L1 to aim in on people. But if you press the right stick in, you can then free aim at people and choose where you want to shoot, because headshots are extremely important in this game. When you have a gun, the closer you are to someone, the more often that you'll get headshots, because your character, when you're very close, will aim up and shoot at their head. So you want to use the gun close range to get those one-shot kill headshots. On the minimap, you can see someone else's arrow facing us. He sees me killing his buddy, but because I already have the thing going, the execution going, it lets me do it, and then he just watches me. Here is the nail gun in action. It does show with the arrows how much health they have. The more red it gets, the less health they have, so the closer to death they are. And the nail gun does kind of suck. This guy just can't make up his mind, and he's really just wasting my friggin' time. So I decided to just take out the nail gun and coerce him. So far, I've done very little except kill people and break open a few things with a crowbar and a knife. It's been very simple and linear. This is just how the game kind of feels up until this point, and it continues to feel like that for a little while. The director reiterates upon this yet again by telling me to just kill people, because that's what he wants me to do. I mean, this is a snuff film after all. This next area, I find some shadows, hide in them, and wait until people turn around, and then I go get them. After I do that, I continue to do it in these big crates. So far, my biggest issue is being overpowered by people, but if I just keep to the shadows and stay cool, I can usually get around it. This area has me breaking a fuse box to get this guy to come out of this little tower, who is watching very, very naughty things. And he comes out of the tower and unlocks this gate so he can get through. After a bit more killing, I find my way into a warehouse where there's a gas can, and we have to use it to power this crane with an attached magnet. We have to use the attached magnet to pull this refrigerator out of a door. And then on our way back, these guys come up and just swarm the area, making it really hard to get back. You have to balance carrying this can and killing people by dropping it and then fighting them from the shadows. The first time I got in the crane, I didn't really know what to do, and you can see the refrigerator kind of just appearing out of nowhere from the left side. If you didn't see it before this, then you're going to miss exactly what you got to do, which actually confused me the first time. So I did figure it out once I came back through a second time, which is why you see I have a death up there, because I died after I got out because I didn't know what I was doing. And not only that, but after this, then we get ambushed by these guys up from the stairwell, and they really chase my ass all the way across the level. Thank God for these random little save points in the middle of areas, because this game is difficult. This next area was pretty difficult for me because at the beginning of the game here, I'm still learning how things work. The shadows seem to be helpful, but I don't realize how overpowered they really are and how to use them efficiently by running and stopping right in a shadow, putting my back up against the wall, and just standing still. It's actually the best way to do it. This area has a lot of guys crisscrossing around the shadows, this big huge ramp with gravel on it, which means you have to walk very slowly, and after this you still have another area with more guys to fight before you get to another save point. So I end up having to do this area several times. Here you see I've run back to near the beginning of the level, and I'm still going back to the beginning of the level because these guys hound me relentlessly. I try fighting some guys at range with the nail gun, and I lose pretty pathetically. This thing fires slow, and sometimes I get confused. I want it to fire faster, and it obviously doesn't. I finally sneak up on the last guy in the area and walk through the gates that open when I kill him. And I thought we were going home free, but nope, looks like they're gonna ram me into the back of this Jeep. I wake up at the opening to the zoo. I don't know why we're here, but this is just one of the places that he had enough money to pay for, I guess. And these guys are hunting me down. I'm not really sure why. At this point, I mean, I've been killing a lot of people. They should probably just get me before I get them. So whatever. I'm still making mistakes sneaking up behind people. Honestly, I just need to choose my times to get them better. But yeah, this guy sees me and I just get my ass beat a little. I'm a bit of the ways into the game, and I realize that it's just kill everyone in the area and move on. And I was kind of getting tired at this point. I think the stream had been long that night. So I decided I'm just going to run and do what I need to do, because you don't necessarily need to kill people in this area. So I find that there is a crowbar hidden somewhere in the level. Then I also find where the padlock is. I lead everyone away by running around like a friggin' madman, hiding in the shadows, and when they pass me, running back to the door and opening it before they get to me. I think this guy has like a tranquilizer gun. It looks like kind of like a sniper, but he's shooting at me, and obviously I don't really like that. So I take my time moving around, trying to get out of his sights, until finally he looks the other way and I sneak up on him, and he's mine. All right, let's unlock another door. And then we get the shock of a lifetime. Apparently, all of my family members have been captured by this guy, and they're being held hostage. Anytime someone sees me, just spots me, they will go over and immediately shoot them. And they're actually, this is done in real time. So if they see you, they will just run over to your family member and shoot them. Yeah, just like that. The problem is, I don't know who these people are. They're literally given no names. I almost don't see very much of them, so I can't even recognize them in like a friggin' lineup if I saw them. And I'm confused. But I guess we've got to save them. As you saw a moment ago, I did not save one of my family members, but this one is fine. I guess she maybe makes it out of here. I really don't know. At the end of the area, I run out of ammo with the tranquilizer gun, and I just charge these guys who have their own tranq guns with a machete, and it goes just about as well as you imagine. I did make it out, luckily. We're finally in a new section of the game where they've now hidden a video camera and a videotape, a VHS tape, mind you, somewhere in this mall. We must find them and then put them together and watch whatever's on this tape. I finally get my own pistol, and it is much better than the tranq gun. It's very difficult to use, and as I said earlier, I finally realized that walking closer to someone initiates a headshot. So you've got to get pretty close. Here you can see them starting far away and then coming close. The reticle moves immediately up to their head. This is not free aim, this is the game locking on. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, especially when you want to hit them from far away. I continue to practice and I find the VHS tape, but I also find that the camera he wanted me to find is broken. So now I have to find just a VCR, which, okay, whatever. Once I find the VCR, I put it in and it's him murdering the other family members that I had, which, wonderful. Starkweather is a class act and says, "I'm all the family you need now," which, what deranged person wouldn't say that? I somehow knew as I was playing this game, there would be an escort mission, and it's really just not the greatest. It's okay. Just hear me out. You have to take this guy named the Tramp. Wonderful. You have to lead him around. The nice thing is even though he has a health bar and can be attacked, if you look at him and press triangle, he will go for the nearest shadow and stand still. He cannot be seen very easily unless you lead guys to him. So, I take him through the shadows pretty slowly. I throw bricks and make people walk away, and me and the Tramp just walk right on through, which is great. Then I lead him past some other guys where I can kill them before they find him, and it's not too bad. The problem is that this still feels like an escort mission where I've got to slowly move through an area, and I really have to take my time. I can't do this at my own pace. I must pay attention to the Tramp and his health. Also where all the people are, and I did lose a couple times because leading them back is very easy on accident. If you get chased for some reason, if you make a mistake, you can lead them right to him on accident because, well, you're trying to run away. Eventually, I lead him to a section that's actually pretty difficult because there are so many people and just not enough room to really fight them. He's not the issue here. It honestly is just the cramped, shitty area. I am really not that upset that I have to leave this dude behind. Thank God. It's at this point the game becomes gun heavy, both in my favor and the enemy's favor. I find myself in plenty of firefights and almost no executions because there's just access to better things. Shooting guns is way easier in the end, especially when you can shoot from the shadows at a distance and get an instant kill with no execution in mind at all. It also doesn't waste as much time, but it is kind of difficult popping out around corners because free aim is not easy to use in this game. You have to click the right stick, and you have to not move your character. You can move the aim, but you can't move your character. So it makes it really difficult. And you don't ever get it off like you would on the PC version, where free aim is like the first thing you use, I guess. But I do finally end up making my way through, moving up a lift so I can go up and fight even more guys with even more guns. And near the end of this area, I find this really useful trick where I take a door and push it out the other way so that I can reach out further and shoot the guys from behind cover. Conveniently, the game needs me to lose my weapons so that the next area is harder. Also, obviously they're not letting me go. What the hell is going on here? Is this a middle school playground? These guys are bullying me. For one reason or another, he wants us to kill this guy with the dress and the mask, and he wants us to take his body down to this guard room. It's a small room. All you do is pick his body up and walk him into the room. And apparently that's what we need to do to get out of here. I really don't understand why, but I mean, it's practically the same as just walking to the exit, except that I've got to kill everyone in the area to make sure I can get his body there. So it's simple. But the first thing I do in this area is I start this electric chair, and this guy comes in to check out his friend who's screaming in the electric chair, and that's how you get the first guy, so you can start getting some weapons. Okay, I lied. This part isn't nearly as gun heavy as I made it out to be, at least not yet. We start off by killing lots of people from the shadows, and it is not easy. There are so many crisscrossing paths that when you go to try and get someone else can see. In fact, in this area here, there's someone standing up on some rails with I think a sniper or something, and he can see you very easily. So you've got to somehow lure him away from looking at this door, because if you get seen, they lock the door. I start running through this area very quickly and realize some people have guns already. There is a gun here waiting for me to pick up. The problem is that so many people see you. At this point, you need to hide and stealth from the shadows. And this is where I get a lot of my deaths kind of early on at the ending of the game, at the middle of the game. I don't even know where this is. Eventually, I am able to get a gun and slowly pick my way through them. Again, it is not easy. After finally removing everyone from that last area, I find a gas can. I bring it with me. I put it up against this wall, and if I fire at it, it blows that shit up. Man, this is very samey constantly all the way through. I just get rid of everyone and move forward. I mean, I do have to get this guy and bring his body in here, but still, I just am doing the same thing over and over. It's just a very long game. I'm given a hammer and told to do a violent and a gruesome execution, so I have to do two different ones, one with the yellow arrows and one with the red arrows. This part is also difficult, and really it's not difficult because I get killed, it's more because I have to wait around a lot. It's a small area, it's a prison block, and these guys are walking through the prison cells and checking out everything, which means that sometimes they might just walk in on you when you're least expecting it, even though their pathing seems to maybe point them in a different direction. They'll just turn around and walk right up to you. But if you can manage to sneak up behind them, you can get them, and, you know, it asks you to do this a couple times. You have to use the hammer and you have to use the bat. The bat, not too bad, but still, it's difficult. They have too many people roaming in too small of an area. After doing this, I find a save in the next area, except that we are immediately bum rushed by literally everyone there because I kind of just darted for the save point. If you dart for a save point and you die, you will start at that save point with no one looking at you. However, this area is still a little bit difficult. There are a lot of people and they start immediately by looking at you and running towards you. All you have to do is get in the shadows, but then you must use a gun because it's just too difficult to do executions here. Or maybe it's just me. I'm not the greatest at stealth games, so maybe it's me. But with this many people, again, in a small area, and then having to fight like a cover shooter, it feels weird. This game has a lot of clunkiness for all of its systems and mechanics, and I'm just not a big fan of it. At first, the next set of levels seems a little different. You have to follow this white rabbit around because he calls you his ugly Alice, but you've got to follow him around and just, I guess, chase him down. The problem is that he just runs into the next room, shuts you in, and then you have to fight a bunch of guys anyway. It's almost the exact same with small amount of flavor difference. You're chasing this guy in a rabbit suit. And this area is hard too. These guys just flood out from these doors and you have to find a place to hide. They also pull a lever that will close the door. And if you leave any of them alive, anytime you try and run for the door that's open, they will pull the lever again and close it. This is honestly just a Twitch shooter at this point. At least it feels like it. Eventually we do get an assault rifle, but for now using the shotgun and the pistol still makes it feel that way. I do find myself enjoying this stuff more though, just kind of popping around a corner and blasting with a shotgun. The director is just mocking us and throwing us in rooms with lots of guys at this point. This one dude just sneaks right up on me, bam! And these guys are the guys that we saw kind of taking us into the Jeep, getting rid of our weapons, beating us up, bullying us. So we're finally getting our revenge on them. The sniper is cool, but you've got to use the left analog stick to aim it when it's zoomed in for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it's really frustrating. Apparently, this guy is getting chewed out for letting me escape so many times. I mean, now failure isn't an option. I feel like it was never an option, but guess what? They keep throwing me out and letting me run away so that they can hunt me. I mean, the game is called Manhunt. But now, they just all get together, and you're supposed to divide them so they fall. I mean, that's the friggin' name of the level title, but whatever. So you have to go up this building and eventually get to this main guy who's leading this hunt. Starting to get confused about the genre of this game. We're just running around hallways going up this apartment complex shooting people. This feels like Max Payne 2. When we reach the top, we find this guy and we have to chase him down, and you see a timer at the top right. We have to kill him within the time limit. I'm not really sure why, but we do. I chase him all the way outside where he can't really run anywhere else, and then I just destroy him. Right after this, you get to see the mess-ups with the auto-locking aim feature, which for some reason wants to lock onto this guy to the far right and will not let me shoot this dude. We make our escape and we find the reporter from the beginning of the game who did say she had evidence against Starkweather. This is what she was probably talking about. This was kind of a future thing. She meets up with us and talks to us about how she wants to expose him. She has the evidence, and so you need to help her. First, you need to get to her apartment, but her apartment is surrounded by a bunch of police officers because this whole thing is going crazy. I mean, there's literally a guy who escaped from death row and is on the loose killing people. I mean, at this point, you've got to kill the police officers. I guess you don't have to feel bad because you've been just murdering people this whole time anyway. But this part is really difficult. They all have guns, and you've got to start out by executing them. And they're also bunched up at this one point. So you have to lure one over, wait for him to come around, and when he turns around, get him when you're behind this dumpster. At least that's what I did. After a few failed attempts, I start playing it real loose. As you can see at the bottom right, the green bar is my health. Man, I'm just running on empty here. Getting lucky with them running up to me so I can get the headshots. We take this woman to her apartment where she goes inside, gets what she needs, and we leave. We tell her as she gets the evidence that she is our backup. We are actually going to get Starkweather ourselves. Have a nice life, and that's honestly better than anything. I mean, he's leaving so she can go live and do what she needs to do. I guess he's nice for that. I mean, we've been killing people this whole time. Anyway, the next area is crawling with police yet again. And it's so difficult. This guy has a sniper rifle. There are lots of places where cops are just hanging out at, and you've got to lure them away. And with so many dudes, the bodies just pile up, and you almost have nowhere to hide. Guess I gotta take a breather from killing the good guys. After clearing out the entire area of police, because it's really the only way I can get through, I go down into the subway where we start the real difficult part of the game. It's dark down here, and yes, there are lots of places to hide, but there are so many enemies, and all of these enemies have rifles, and the rifles are so strong. They kill you within a very small time frame, like this tiny little window where if you do not get them first, they get you. Yes, you can get those guns from them, but you do not have unlimited ammo. You only have enough most of the time to just take out a few dudes, and then you've got to go back to using the headshot method. I mean, you can walk up with the auto rifle and also use it on them from that distance and get a headshot, but you need the distance at this point. There are just so many dudes. Regardless of the difficulty, we've got to get this train started. So we go push a button after finally wading my way through all these people, and then get on it, go to another part of the subway, and fight more guys to then leave the subway. This guy in the pig costume was seen once before, but it really didn't mean anything, so I haven't shown him yet. But he's just a regular dude who's gone insane. At this point, he's broken out of his chains. We're not where he is yet, so don't worry. We don't have to fight him yet. I find myself in what seems like an abandoned train yard, or probably a train yard that's used, but I get my butt friggin' kicked here, dude, until I eventually get up on top of the trains to fight, because once you get up there, for some reason, these guys lose all sense and just let you kill them. Surprise, surprise, these guys yet again, and oh god, we see the reporter lady actually making a statement about this dude Starkweather and his movies, so at this point, he's known to the public. For some reason, these guys still aren't actually getting rid of you. They're just letting you wander around. And they get attacked by that guy in the pig costume from earlier that we saw in that cutscene. And they let you just go. I really don't understand why they're letting you run around. There are a lot of dudes here, and you have pretty much no weapons. You've got to lure one of them in here and then execute them with this wire. Once you do get some guns, which allows you to kill the rest of them. We are now at Starkweather's house, or at least the grounds before his house. He has an enormous estate where there's tons and tons of people. It pretty much is private army. They all have very strong weapons. They have these big deagles, they have shotguns, and they have auto rifles, which do kill you in a very quick burst. You are also surrounded by areas with gravel, and you're in this small hedge maze labyrinth. I mean, it's a tough area. You've got to slowly get everyone, but then sometimes you alert everyone in the area because one of the very easiest ways to fight them is with guns. And obviously, once you do get the auto rifle for yourself, it is much simpler, and you can aim a little easier through some of the vines on some of these stairwells up, stairwells down. You just need to take your time and pick them off and make sure that when you are hiding, you can get one before another one sneaks up on you. And then once we get in the manor, we're fighting people from up on the stairs, and there's just so many guys here. I eventually get inside of the manor, finally, and there are just so many guys that even the auto rifle makes it, it makes it easier, but Jesus, look at how many guys, they're popping out of the doors slowly, they're running down halls, it's pretty ridiculous, and they just won't stop showing up. They do eventually stop, but I'm so low on health constantly, and there's only a very few amount of health left sitting around, so you really gotta take it slow. But here is the real crazy part. The next thing you've got to do is you've got to get a key for the elevator, and you've got to turn the power back on for the elevator. The key is in this room. If you look at the minimap, you can see a gaggle of dudes just standing in there. They will not leave that room, no matter what you do. They won't leave. Your only option is to either just open the door slowly and fire, or do what I do. Fire at the door to make it open, or let them fire at the door to make it open. While I'm doing this, I aim directly where the arrows are in hopes that the second the door opens far enough, I can just fire and hit someone, most likely killing them, because you only have so many shots left in this AR. But you can see here, they are just as fast. And if you fight more than one in this door at a time, they can easily get you. So you've got to be really slow about it. And you can see how frustrating this is. Every time I fire, sometimes they fire back, and we'll just have this like door opening and closing challenge. Fuck you, dude. God damn it, I don't have that much ammo. I finally get everyone in the room taken care of. I go in and grab the key, and I head down to the basement where I'm supposed to turn the power on. Here's something interesting. If you go down to the basement first, there is a save point, which, while it's helpful, isn't helpful in the case where you go to the basement first, then fight the guys upstairs. It's really much more helpful to fight the guys upstairs first and then save. This part is much easier, and when you start from death, when you die from fighting the guys in the room, you can start right there and kind of just go. I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to do. I found it being easier doing it this way. The next thing we get to do is actually have a boss battle against this guy in the pig costume. He has a chainsaw, he can kill you very quickly, and most of what you're going to be doing is hiding in the shadows and executing him, which you do 3 times before anything else happens. It is difficult because he's fast. You don't even get to see his arrow on the map very well, but you do hear him kind of making the pig noises as if he's sniffing, so it's not impossible, but I do kind of just find myself hiding in a corner and waiting, knocking on the wall and waiting for him to like come around the corner and then figuring out what to do from there, because if you run around, it's too easy to die. When fighting him, you go around and you find one green weapon each time, and it is used upon an execution. It's gone, so you have to find all 3. Well, he has this sliver of health left, and I'm not really sure what to do. I have this brick to like get him to come over to me, but I don't know how to get him to do anything. I don't have another weapon. Finally, I figure out all the way up here, this grate is too weak to hold him, and that's what you need to do. You need to bring him all the way up here to the grate, have him step on it twice, and the second time, you take care of him.
Sweet.
It only takes me about 3 tries to get Pigsy, and then we realize that Starkweather is literally in the next room. If you go up to this door and use the chainsaw, it will get all these guys to come out. These are the last guys. Well, it's not easy from here on out. I thought, well, I have a chainsaw, I don't have anything else. You must kill someone to get their gun, and I think the chainsaw would be somewhat easy to use. Well, it's absolutely not. It's this weird pause in between using it. So what you have to do is you can actually execute people with it. You need to take them all the way back to the boss area where Pigsy originally had you and hide in the shadows while they wander around until you can isolate them. Once you do, you can get their weapons and bring them up where these last couple guys are, and you need to use a weapon on them because they're too far away. Once you do this though, you enter the room with Starkweather and you, well, take a chainsaw to him. And this is it, everyone. We get Starkweather down and, well, our quest is over. The guy who tortured us for a while, even though we were on death row for, I'm not really sure why, but I mean, we're not a good person, so we still get away. No one ever sees us again, as far as I understand. The reporter is fine. She gets, this big scoop and story, and he obviously, I mean, Starkweather is gone, so there's nothing else he can do. And they find the whole ring of snuff films and weird things that they're doing, which we got to see the entire time. But to us, it was normal because we were already destroying people, although we did kill a lot of cops. I'm a little confused. It seems pretty crazy what our character does and how little that's really matters in the story itself. But that's it. That's the end. We get out of this manhunt, both us hunting them and them hunting me. So, yay, we did it. Game number 38 beaten, finally, after about 13 or 14 hours of playing this game. And I had a total of 81 deaths. That's right, we have the lifetime deaths up just long enough now for us to know how many deaths it took to beat Manhunt. 81. Now, eventually, I will be putting this on a tier list once I finally figure out what's wrong with the tier list and my issues with it. But this game would be a solid C. out of FDCBAS. It'd be a solid C. I don't think it's a bad game, but I don't think it's a good game either. The whole gore aspect is now lost based on the fact that so many games are way gorier and way more common about being gory and like casual about it. So it's not anything interesting. I wasn't like, oh, this is cool. I mean, it just looked like any other game I've played a million times now. So that novelty is gone. Instead, we look at the fact that it is a stealth game for about half of the game and a slight stealth plus twitch shooter for the last half of the game. It's a very weird pacing, and I don't like it that much. Now, this is coming from someone who does not like stealth games very much. I'm just not good at them. I'm much better at twitch reactions / running in and figuring things out on the fly. Stealth is just too slow for me, and this game was difficult because of that. I don't like waiting around for a long time. It's one thing to wait for several seconds for an opening or to create my own opening, but many times, even with the items that will make people, distracted and walk away from you, it wasn't easy to get people to get into a spot where you could still get them. So it wasn't so much creating my own openings, it was like hoping that I've created an opening just long enough for me to at least try. And that's not my thing. So this game gets a C. I just couldn't stomach all of it. There was a lot of issues. When the guns came in, it was a little better. The boss was okay. Honestly, it wasn't too bad. I only tried 3 or 4 times. I did get the ending with the grate. It took a minute to get it, but once I did, I was like, oh, yeah, there we go. I figured it out. Not too bad. And I guess it was a satisfying ending. You got revenge on the person who's doing this, and this all takes place over one night for some reason, but you got revenge on this guy for doing this, and for some reason you got out of death row. We never really know exactly what you did, not as far as I can tell, but it doesn't seem like good things happen, so you're not a good person. So I'm not, like, satisfied. It's more like, oh, yeah, they started a story and they ended it. That's cool, but, it was an okay game. Regardless of that, let's go to the guessing game. All right, here is Stable Diffusion's depiction of the next game I'll be playing. What do you think it is? I've been playing this game on stream and enjoying it, but here's a good hint. It's a long freaking game. A long game. So long, in fact, that when I'm finishing this video, I've already had about 2 weeks of the stream going while I'm also working on this video. It's just a long game. It's not necessarily super difficult, but it is fun, and the character design is great because a special person made the characters. Definitely not something you want to get too angry about or frustrated with and try and get more powerful. I mean, I hope these are helping you in some way. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This was an interesting game, and I'm really enjoying this. We've got so many games already set up to be played. I've got so many games sitting on the sidelines. So many people want to see cool games. This is just so much fun. So I want to thank at the very end here the 4 patrons who are subscribed and this next game is the game that the patron picked, so it'll be a really cool game. He's excited to see it. I'm excited to play it, and I've been excited playing it. So again, a month later, I'll be able to do it again with the patrons in that tier, and we'll do another random drawing where someone will get a chance to pick the game I play next. So thank you everyone for watching. I'll be back with the next video. Later.